May 10, 1996. 8 people died on Everest, the deadliest day in the mountain's history. 28 years have passed. Nearly 3 decades. So here's the question. What did we learn? Did those 8 deaths change anything? Did mountaineering become safer? Did Everest become less commercial? Or did we forget the lessons, repeat the mistakes, make things worse? This is part 10. The legacy. The final question. Let's examine what happened after 9, year by year, decade by decade, and see if into thin air meant anything, or if it was just another tragedy we mourned and moved on from. The immediate aftermath. After the disaster, there was outrage, grief, soul-searching. The climbing community asked, how do we prevent this? Discussions began, changes proposed, better weather forecasting, stricter turnaround times, limits on climbers per day, more experience guides, better client screening, mandatory training requirements, regulate commercial expeditions, ensure safety standards, prevent overcrowding. Some changes happened. Small ones. Weather forecasting improved, satellite technology better, teams could see storms coming. But did they turn back when forecasts warned? Not always. Turnaround times became more emphasized. Guides preached the 2 p.m. rule. But did everyone follow it? No, because summiting late is still better than not summiting. Client screening got slightly stricter. Some companies required proof of previous climbs. But money still talked. $65,000 in 1996, $100,000 by 2020s. If you can pay, you can climb. The fundamental problem remained. Commercial Everest creates pressure to summit. Clients expect results. Guides need successful summits for reputation. Companies compete for business. Nothing changed that. Nothing addressed that. So Everest continued. More climbers, more companies, more summits. The 2000s, Everest explodes in popularity. By the 2000s, Everest wasn't just for elite climbers anymore. It was mainstream. Movies about 1996, Armbätterruff, Zeithausfred, books, documentaries, media coverage. Everest became famous, and fame brought crowds. 2000, 142 summits. 2005, 359 summits. 2010, 531 summits. The numbers kept growing. More people, more teams, more traffic. The very problem that contributed to 1996, too many climbers, same route, same day, got worse. Deaths continued. Not every year, but regularly. 2006, 11 deaths, including David Sharp, who was passed by dozens of climbers while dying. Nobody helped. 2012, 4 deaths, avalanche. 2014, 16 deaths. Avalanche in Khumbu Icefall. Deadliest single incident since 1990. 2015, 19 deaths. Earthquake triggered avalanches. And then 2019, the year that proved we learned nothing. May 2019, the traffic jam. Spring 2019, perfect weather window, short, maybe 3-4 days of good conditions. Every expedition rushed for the summit. Same days, same route. The result? A traffic jam. On Everest, in the death zone. Photos went viral. Hundreds of climbers lined up, single file, waiting, at 8,000 plus meters, where every minute burns oxygen, where exhaustion kills. Climbers waiting for hours to reach the summit. The photos shocked the world, showed what Everest had become. Not a challenge, not a test of skill, a queue, a line, a tourist attraction. And people died. 2019, 11 deaths on Everest. Most from exhaustion, waiting in the death zone, too long above 8,000 meters. Same problem as 1990. Too many climbers, too much traffic, too much pressure to summit. 23 years later, nothing changed. Actually worse. Let's look at one death from 2019. Donald Lynn Cash. Donald was 55, from Utah, experienced climber. May 23, 2019, summit day, Donald climbed, reached the summit, but the traffic was terrible. Hours of waiting, going up, coming down. Donald descended, exhausted, collapsed just below the summit. Other climbers passed him, couldn't help, trying to survive themselves. Donald Lynn Cash died, exhausted, in the traffic jam. His death was preventable. if fewer people had been on the mountain that day. But Nepal issued 381 permits in 2019. Record number. More permits, more money for Nepal, more climbers, more business for companies. Nobody limited permits. Nobody said too many. Because limiting permits means limiting profit, and profit won the argument. Donald died because we learned nothing from 9. The fundamental lesson of Into Thin Air: commercial pressure kills. When money drives decisions, safety suffers. When summiting matters more than surviving, people die. 1996 taught this. 8 deaths taught this. But 2019 proved we ignored it. 11 more deaths, same reasons. So what is Everest today in 2024, 2025? Everest is a business, a massive, profitable business. Permits. Nepal charges $11,000 per person. Tibet charges $7,000. Expeditions, commercial companies charge $30,000 to $150,000 per client. Sherpas, guides, equipment, logistics, millions of dollars flowing through Everest economy. Summits per year, 600, 800 people now. More in good years. Traffic jams, regular occurrence. Photos every season. Deaths. Average 5 to 10 per year, some years more, rarely 0. Everest is accessible. If you have money and basic fitness, you can attempt it. But accessible doesn't mean safe, doesn't mean wise. Everest is still 849 meters, still the death zone, still deadly. The mountain hasn't changed, only the crowds have. Let me tell you about the people who summit Everest now. Some are experienced mountaineers, climbed for years, trained hard, respect the mountain. These people deserve to be there, understand risks, make informed choices. But others, minimal experience, hired guides to do everything, relied entirely on support. Sherpas fix ropes, carry equipment, set up camps, cook food, make decisions. Clients just climb, follow, trust the system. Is this mountaineering, or is this guided tourism? There's debate about this. Strong opinions. Some say nothing wrong with guided climbs, people paying for expertise, Sherpas earning living. Others say this isn't real climbing. Real climbing is self-sufficient. This is Disneyland. I'm not here to judge, but I'll say this. When you rely entirely on others' guides, Sherpas, systems, you lose the ability to save yourself. If something goes wrong, if your guide dies, if the weather turns, if you're alone, can you survive? Can you descend? Can you make decisions? In 1996, Rob Hall died trying to save Doug Hansen. Doug couldn't save himself. In 2019, Donald Cash died exhausted in traffic. Could he have turned back earlier? Should he have? When you're not self-sufficient, you're vulnerable, completely, and Everest exploits vulnerability. So what should change? What would prevent future disasters? Here are proposals that have been discussed. Limit permits, cap at 150 per season, reduce crowds, reduce traffic. Problem, Nepal's government refuses. Permits, money, economy depends on it. Require experience. Proof of previous climbs, minimum skill level. Problem, who decides? What standards? Hard to enforce. Ban commercial expeditions, make Everest for serious mountaineers only. Problem, unfair to guides and Sherpas who earn living. Also, who decides who's serious? Better weather coordination. Spread summit attempts across more days. Problem, weather windows are real. Can't manufacture good weather. Everyone rushes same days. Mandatory turnaround times. Enforce 2 p.m. rule. No exceptions. Problem, who enforces? Guides. They're the ones under pressure to summit. The truth is, there's no easy solution. Every proposal has problems. Economics, politics, enforcement. Everest is complicated. The interests involved, Nepal, Tibet, companies, guides, Sherpas, clients, don't align. Everyone wants something different. Nobody agrees on answers. So Everest continues. As is. Crowded, commercial, deadly. And every few years a disaster happens. People die, we mourn, we discuss, we forget. Until the next time. But here's what I think the real legacy of 1996 should be. Respect the mountain. Not just Everest. All mountains. All wild places. Mountains don't care about your money, your training, your dreams. Mountains are indifferent. Follow their rules or die. What are the rules? Turn back when conditions are bad. Even if summit is close. Descend before dark. Even if it means not summiting. Listen to your body. If you're sick, go down. Pride kills. Don't rely only on others. Be able to save yourself. Understand that summiting is optional. Survival is mandatory. These aren't complex rules. They're simple, obvious even. But under pressure, commercial pressure, ego pressure, dream pressure, people forget. Rob Hall forgot. Broke his 2 p.m. rule. Died. Scott Fisher forgot. Climbed sick. Died. Doug Hansen forgot. Pushed too hard. Died. And in 2019, 11 people forgot. In 2014, 16 people died. In 2015, 19 people died. The mountain keeps teaching. We keep not learning. So the legacy of Into Thin Air isn't that Everest became safer. It's that we were warned, and we ignored the warning. 8 people died to teach us, and we didn't listen. That's the tragedy. Not just their deaths, but our refusal to change. Rob Hall's daughter Sarah was born 3 months after he died. She never met her father, grew up without him. Sarah is 28 now, same age her mother was when Rob died. Sarah has said, "I'm proud of my father, but I wish he'd come home." The summit wasn't worth losing him. Nothing was worth that. That's the legacy, the human cost, the families left behind. For what? For a summit, for a moment, for a photo. Was it worth it? Ask Sarah Hall. Ask Scott Fisher's 3 children. Ask Beck Weather's family. Ask the survivors who carry guilt. Ask the Sherpas who risk their lives so clients can summit. Was it worth it? I can't answer that. Nobody can, except those who made the choice. But I can say this. If we keep climbing Everest the way we're climbing it, crowded, commercial, profit-driven, more people will die. Not maybe. Definitely. The math is clear. The history is clear. The pattern is clear. Every few years, conditions align. Too many people, bad weather, poor decisions, and people die. The list will grow. The names will change. But the story stays the same. Unless we change, unless we learn, will we? I don't know. History suggests no. But maybe this time, maybe the next generation, maybe they'll respect the mountain, respect the limits, respect the lessons. Maybe they'll read Into Thin Air and understand this is what happens when you ignore the rules. Maybe they'll see the 2019 traffic jam photos and think, this is insane. This isn't mountaineering. Maybe they'll hear Sarah Hall say, I wish he'd come home and realize summits aren't worth lives. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe in 2030 there'll be another disaster, another deadliest day, another book written, and we'll mourn and discuss and forget again. This is the legacy of Into Thin Air. A warning, a lesson, a plea. Respect the mountain or pay the price. 28 years later, we're still paying. Rob Hall, Scott Fisher, Doug Hansen, Yasuko Namba, Andy Harris, and 3 others whose names are less remembered but who died just the same. 8 people. One day. May 10th, 1990. Their deaths meant something, taught something, warned us of something. We just chose not to listen. This is Into Thin Air. Part 10. The Legacy. The final part. The final question. Will we learn, or will we keep repeating? The mountain is waiting. Indifferent, patient, ready to teach the lesson again, and again, and again, until we finally listen.